Hello everyone. Today our topic is how to read multi-line JSON file in PySpark. So first we'll see what is JSON lines. The short form is JSON L. So JSON L means lines. So by default, PySpark expects a JSON lines format where every single is an independent and complete JSON object. So JSON lines also called ND JSON. So N means new line, D means delimited. JSON stores one valid JSON object per line. So it means if you see this is the example how it looks JSON line. So JSON line there will be individual objects. So that means this one, every single line is an independent object. So object means this is one JSON object. So starting and ending with curly braces. So this will call as one JSON object. And this is one JSON object. And this is third JSON object. So in JSON, JSON lines, so each JSON object will be in one single line. So that's why we'll call as uh, JSON lines. So new line delimited JSON. So this also other name for this. So here, if you see each line is a complete JSON object. So that means this will call as one JSON object and this is one JSON object and so on. And there is no closing array. So generally for multi-line JSON, so starting and ending, you will be having this like this closing array. But for single line JSONs, you will be have like this, each JSON object in one line. And objects are not separated by commas. So here we don't have any commas in between each JSON object. So this is about JSON lines. Also, you can watch my previous video. There I created how to read JSON lines uh, using different methods. So you can watch that video to make feel good idea on these JSON lines. So now we'll jump onto our topic. What is multi-line JSON? So we set multi-line option true to read JSON records on file from multi-lines. So multi-lines means this one. So starting and ending, you will be having square bracket. So that is array. And inside that, you will be having JSON objects separated by commas. So in case of single line JSON, there will not be any commas. So this actually will call as JSON list. Single line JSON list will call this one. So JSON list means starting and ending we have square bracket. So that is a list. And inside that each JSON object, it is it is in single line and it is separated by comma. So this we'll call as single line list JSON. So on this topic also, I already made one video. You can go through that. And multi-line JSON means in same thing, starting and ending will be square bracket. So that is array. And whatever we have here, single JSON object. So this object here we have in single line, right? In multi-line JSON, you will be having in different lines. And if you see here, under each JSON object, you will be having key value pair. So this is one key value pair, this is one key value, this is one key value, and this is one key value. So here key is the column name and value is the record. So that particular column record. And in case of multi-line JSON, this each key value will be in one line. So second key value, it is in second line. Third key value, it is in third line. Fourth key value, it is in fourth line, and so on. Since it is in multi-lines, That means a single JSON object. It is segregated as multi-lines. So this will call as multi-line JSON. So whenever we have this kind of format, how we need to read is while reading the JSON, we need to set in option multi-line as true. So otherwise it will throw the error. So that is this one. And by default, this option is set to false. So that means while reading JSON, if you see here, spark.read.json, and here I given path, and inside that multi-line equal to true. Suppose if you're not mention this one, that means you mentioned only spark.read.json, and inside that you mentioned only path. So that it means by default Spark considers multi-line equal to false. So that is this one. And next is used when your JSON data is more complex and spans multi-lines. So that is this one. So each JSON object, it spans up multi-lines. And to correctly read multi-line JSON in Spark, you need to tell Spark that the JSON objects may span multi-lines. So that means since it is in multi-lines, so we need to explicitly mention like, so this JSON object, it is spanned into multi-lines. Okay, so that we need to tell to Spark. So this is over. We need to tell Spark. Next one is understanding these two formats is crucial because using the wrong method can lead to errors or incomplete data being loaded to Spark. So this we'll see like first we'll read with the default method like without mentioning multi-line equal to true. Then we'll see by mentioning multi-line equal to true. Okay, so next file splitting is disabled. So that means when multi-line equal to true is enabled, PySpark cannot split the file into smaller chunks to process in parallel. So that means whenever you read the file in PySpark, normally what will happens, it splits into number of partitions, and each partition it will uh, split to each driver node. But when you mention multi-line equal to true, so it, it telling that the partitions it won't happen. So since partitions it won't happen, it won't process in parallel. Okay, so next we'll see what are the different methods to read the multi-line JSON file. So first one is we'll go for what is the default options. So here I have three methods to read multi-line JSON. So first what I'm doing, I'm defining one variable called path, and here I'm defining my file path, multi-line file path. And first method is spark.read.json, and inside that we need to pass the path. So this path we need to pass here, and explicitly we need to mention like multi-line equal to true. And second method is spark.read.option multi-line true and dot JSON path. So here what we are doing, we are mentioning just JSON dot path, and this multi-line equal to true, we are writing separately like dot option multi-line true. So whenever you are defining inside JSON, we have to write like multi-line equal to true. So here L is capital letter, and whenever mentioning in options, so both should be in double quotes, multi-line and true. And third method is by writing format method. So spark.read dot format JSON and dot option multi-line true. So option multi-line true. So multi-line it is in single quote and this is true, and dot load path. So among these three methods you can follow either of the method. So first one is We'll see first scenario like single JSON object spread across multi-lines. So single line JSON object spread across multi-lines. So single line JSON object means we have only one JSON object. So this will see how it looks in the file. So it is in JSON, read JSON, uh, multi-line single JSON object. JSON, read JSON, uh, multi-line and multi-line JSON object. So before that, I'll copy this one, multi-line JSON object. So here I will update this path. Okay. So JSON, read JSON, multi-line, under multi-line, I have multi-line single JSON object. So this particular file I opened multi-line single JSON object. So as soon as I open here, it showing that it is uh, it is in collapse mode, and starting and ending it is curly braces. So that means object, JSON object, and here it is mentioned that 10 items. So that means inside this uh, JSON object we have 10 lines is it. So 10 line means 10 key value pairs we have. So this is one key value, this is one key value, this is one key value. And finally, we have single JSON record. So single JSON object means, so the data is related to only one row. Okay, and same thing we can see here also, like multi-line, multi-line single JSON object. Okay, so starting and ending it is curly braces, and each key value pair it is in separate line. So actual our JSON file looks like this. When we prepared JSON file, we will prepare like this. And as soon as you upload to uh, Databricks catalog, and if you try to open that, initially it will open like this. So if you expand this one, it will expand like this. So now, since we have single JSON object, my first thing is here what I'm doing, spark dot read dot JSON, and I'm giving only path here. Okay, so without multi-line, spark dot read JSON, read JSON, multi-line JSON. So two things we'll see. So one is I will change the heading to default method. So this is basic way, default options. So here what I will do, multi-line as false. Otherwise, okay, multi-line, multi-line as false. You can say multi-line as false or without mentioning multi-line. So what we can do here is the same method, um, read.json path. How we can write this one is this particular scenario. Here what I'm trying to do here is spark.read.json, and first one is false. So this is the default option, and same thing we can do by without mentioning multi-line equal to false. I will remove this one and I will mention only path. So what we will do, I will mention R. So either of the method you can follow. So whether you mention spark.read.json, this one. or spark.read.json path multiline equal to false. Both gives the same result. So this is default method, you can say. Yeah, I will mention default method. Okay. So this I will rearrange this one like I will take this part outside. Otherwise, this part I will move to next cell. So here to give uh, more clarity, that means clean code, what I will do, whatever this path is there, I will assign to one variable. So I will mention like path, and my path is this one. And read JSON multiline. Okay, this is fine. And inside JSON, I will mention path. Okay, so now this is equivalent to this one, spark.read.json path, and my path is this. So we saw this JSON file, it has single object. So if I try to read this one, okay, so it throwing you error, like the feature is not supported. So queries from raw JSON, CSV, XML files are disallowed when referenced columns only include the internal correct record column. If you expand this one, it will give you all the options like these corrupted records, how to filter, like how to filter only clean record, clean data, and how to filter corrupted record. So, but the actual thing, what is that? If you see this one, our input JSON file, so it is multi-line JSON. So since it is multi-line JSON, and since we are not defined this one explicitly, so Spark it considering as corrupted record. Okay, so now this is one default method, and here uh, training JSON, read JSON, multi-line JSON. So JSON, read JSON, read JSON, multi-line, this multi-line JSON. Okay, so now, so this one also I will define to one variable. So next, what I'll do, so maybe I'll give underscore one. This maybe I will give underscore one. So spark.read and inside JSON, I will mention path. So now this path, it will consider this this file path. So before running this, what we'll see, we'll look into the file multi-line JSON, how it looks. So as soon as I open the in earlier case, since we have only single object, is shown starting and ending as curly braces, and we have only one object. But here, starting and ending, we have square bracket. That means we have array, and inside array we have 7 items. So 7 items means inside array we have 7 JSON objects. If you expand this, see here, this is one object, this is one object, second one, third object, fourth object, fifth, sixth, seventh. So total we have 7 JSON objects, and each JSON object, if you see here, we have 10 items. So here everywhere telling that 10 items. So these 10 items means inside this JSON object, we have 10 key value pairs. That means 10 lines we have. Suppose if I expand this one, See here, this is one key value pair, first one, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10. So total 10 rows is there. That is 10 items. So whatever JSON object, if you expand, total 10 key value pairs will be there. Okay, so these are multi-line JSON. So first one we saw, that is single object, single JSON object. It spreaded into multi-lines. So this one is multi-line JSON of JSON array, multi-line JSON array. So starting with the array, and inside array we have multiple JSON objects. So these kind of files, if you don't explicitly mention like multi-line equal to true, it won't read. It will consider as corrupted record. So here also we'll get same error. Path does not exist. Okay. JSON, read JSON, JSON, read JSON, multi-line, no, training JSON, uh, multi-line JSON. So I will mention, I will copy this path and I will try to put here. So now if I try to read this one, we'll get same this error, like it is like corrupted record. Okay. So first one we saw multi-line equal to, instead of multi-line phase, I will mention like single JSON object, single JSON object, single JSON object, multi-line. And second one is JSON array. So this is JSON array. So JSON array means inside array, it can be of number of JSON objects. So for both the cases, if you don't mention the explicit method like multi-line equal to true, it will throw the error. Okay, throw the error means it will consider as corrupted records. Okay, so now at the same time, here there is some steps also. It is mentioned here. So what is the steps is, if at all if want to read without using this multi-line as true, spark.read, we need to define the schema. Then after defining schema, we need to filter like this. Okay, so this will go through further. So next one, what I'm doing here is reading a multi-line formatted JSON file. So that means uh, training JSON, read JSON, multi-line single JSON object, multi-line single JSON object. That means same path. That means same file I am reading now by mentioning multi-line equal to true. So what I will do, first I will define the path here, and instead of this whole thing, either of way you can define, either at the starting you can define the path and you can mention variable, or the entire path you can define here itself. So what additionally I did here is spark.read dot option. In option I mentioned multi-line. So since I mentioned now explicitly multi-line as true, what Spark does is, so the JSON file, whatever we are providing here, it is spanned into multi-lines. So now it will read correctly. So since it is single line JSON object, here the output will get single line. So that means single row will get, see here, will get single row. And if you see the print schema, so we have these many columns in our JSON object. If you see here, the columns, source, description, input timestamp, uh, last update timestamp, country, user. See here, all the columns will get. But only one difference is, since it is a JSON file, and on top of that, here we are trying to read by using infer schema. So infer schema means we are not defined explicitly schema. So whenever you don't define the schema explicitly, Spark by default it reads by using infer schema as true. That is the default option. So that means by looking the data, so if you see here, this is our data. Suppose for source column, since it is string, it will detect this source column as string type. So here it detects as string type. And at the same time, the description, since it is string type, even description, it will considered as string type. So how Spark will do is, it will go through, since here we have only one record, if we have n number of records also, for each and every column, it will scan all the data of that particular column, and it will decide whether it is string or integer or long type or boolean, double or date or timestamp. By using infer schema, it will detect the data type and it is providing here. Okay, so this is one thing. So this is uh, infer schema. Next, uh, next we'll see about JSON array. So as of now, we see about JSON object. Now we'll see about JSON array. So for JSON array, the example is say read JSON multi-line JSON array. So multi-line JSON array. So the path is, I will update the path. So multi-line JSON array, multi-line JSON array. I will copy this path. So here I copied root path, but here I'm pasting the file path. Okay, so here I defined explicitly multi-line as true. So if I run this one, see here, now it coming correctly. So earlier it thrown error. So without defining multi-line equal to true, it read as corrupted record. Now it correctly reading. And you can see the column and the data types. But again here, there is no guarantee that it will come in same order. The columns, it won't come in same order. Since it is infer schema, no? So, and this is, since it is a set dictionary, so it won't come in same order. That is the one issue here. And now we saw how to read both the formats. One is a single JSON object, that means single multi-line object and multi-line array. Next, we'll see about how to read the files from directory. So suppose if you have multiple single line or multi-line JSON files. So here, this is not single, this is multi-line JSON files stored in one folder, and pass the directory path instead of file name to load all single data frames simultaneously. So that means if I show you one folder, uh, multi-line and JSON, read JSON, multi-line, same schema. If you see here, this is my root path. In this path, I have three JSON files. So now I wanted to read all three multi-line JSON files at a time. So for this, we have multiple methods. And before that, we'll see when we required this, this kind of reading all the files. If you see in real time, there will be two pipelines generally. One is ingestion and transformation pipelines, which is created in ADF, Azure Data Factory. So ingestion pipeline, what it does is it will move the data from source to your storage account. So while while placing the files in storage account, the in ADF pipeline, how it is created is inside that there will be mentioned current date option. So current date means so pipeline will run on daily basis. If it is running pipeline today, and the folder it will be created with today's date, and under today's date, so whatever file comes, whether it is one file or five files or 10 or so many, all the files that particular day related, all the files, it will be stored in today's folder. And for tomorrow, it will create again one more folder with the tomorrow's date, and that data will be dumped in that particular folder. Now, while running transformation pipeline in ADF, now what it does from storage account, it will pick the files where it will pick in today's folder. It will access to today's folder, and whatever the files, how many files there in that particular folder, it has to pick all the files. That means it has to read all the files, and the entire data it has to move to target. So this is the scenario. So this kind of scenario in real time, we'll use this one. So this is method one, but this is for knowledge purpose I'm telling, but in real time we'll use other method. So the first method is, since I have three JSON files here, what I'm doing, I'm copying this path, the first file path. So for each file, I created one variable like path one, path two, path three, like that. So this is path one, and this is JSON 01, JSON 02, JSON 03. And here what I did, spark.read, format is JSON, and what I mentioned here is multi-line true. Why? Because this we know that these are all the multi-line files. See here, JSON array. Inside JSON array, we have 7 JSON objects, and each JSON object it is spanned into number of lines. Okay, so to read this multi-line JSON, we need to explicitly define option as multi-line as true. And in .json, by using list, I'm passing all these three variables here. So what will happen while reading this JSON file, all three JSON files, it will read together and it will display here. So what will happen? First, it will pick one particular file and it will check how many records are there in this. This is one JSON object. That means this is one row. And in this, how many are there? Seven JSON objects. So that means it will come 7 rows. And here also we have 7 rows, and here also 7 rows. But if you see the order, like source, user, we have any column to record number. So record number we can check. So here it is starting from 50. So first file we'll see, in first file what is the record number? It is from 1. So it is from 1 to 7. So suppose if it is reading this particular file, so what will happen? The records from 1 to 7. So 1 to 7 it will read. See here, this one. So 127, it will read first file, and second file, it is starting from 8th to 40. And if you see here, this is second file, 8 to 40, and third file, 15 to 20. So that means first it will append the data, first file data 1 to 7. Then while reading second JSON file, it will append 7 more files here. And while reading third file, it will append 7 more rows here. So like this, each file JSON, it will append at a time together. Okay, so total, how many we are getting? Total 21 rows. 7 into 3, total 21 rows. And if you see the schema here, so these many columns we have and their relevant data types. And method 2 is, so here what I will do, this particular one, I will move to different cell. This will call as method 1. And finally, I'll tell you what is the best method and that is used in real time. So this is method 2. In method 2, what I'm doing, I'm defining the root path. So read JSON multiline same schema. So root path means up to here. Only up to here I'm defining. If I define like this, what will happen? So whatever the files in this, it will read all the files. But since we have all three JSON files, it reading all the files. Suppose you assume that we have some file, some folder, which has mixed files, mixed file formats of files. Then suppose I have one folder, mixed files, and I'll copy this root path. Suppose if I mention this root path, what will happen? It will try to read all the files which are in under this folder. So it don't consider whether it is JSON or CSV or text or RK or hour. It try to read all the files. So I given multiline as true. If I try to read this one, and if you see here, so what is happening? You are getting corrupt record column also. And we'll see why you are getting this one. So wherever you are getting these original columns, no, like, so here we are getting values and it created one column. So whenever it finds corrupted record, no, Spark what it do, by default, it will create one column like underscore corrupt underscore record. So under this column, for clean data, it will print as null. And whenever it finds corrupted record, so at the bottom of cleaned columns, it will generate nulls, and under corrupt record column, it will dump all the corrupted data here. Okay, and see here also same. Now we'll see one by one which, which are all the files we are getting corrupted record. Suppose if you expand this one, so readme file, okay, this folder contains this one. So here what is happening? If you see here, we have one log file and three text file, three JSON file, and two CSV file. If I open this one, see whatever we are seeing there, this entire data it is reading. Since in this particular text file, since we don't have these columns, these columns means in this JSON, right? In this JSON, whatever columns is there, those thing, it is not available here. So it throwing under correct record and is showing this as corrected uh, value. And if you see this one, product ID, product name, category, price, these things. So these CSV files trying to read. So serial number, status, start date, end date. So that is this one. So these two are CSV files. See here, the entire CSV file it putting here. So this is first CSV file, this is second CSV file. And why it coming here is whatever the columns here, so none of the column it is matching with whatever we have in JSON file. So it moving to under correct record. And these two are related to other two text files. See here, product ID, product name, category, price. So if you expand this one, the entire file you can see here. So this is first txt file, this is second txt. So this is the issue with by mentioning the root folder. And final uh, correct method means recommended method is so recommended method is JSON line same object schema uh, read JSON multi-line not nested uh, multi-line same schema. So what I will do here, I will copy this root path and I will define up to here. So under this root path, I am mentioning start.json. So that means once it go to this particular root path, uh, okay, I'm not supposed to mention this one. I supposed to mention mixed path. So this root path I will mention here. So what will happen? It will go to this particular root path and we are explicitly telling that to pick only JSON file formats. So I given star dot JSON. So now what will happen? It will pick only these three JSON files. Now, if I try to read this one, I will mention as JSON. And at the same time, I will mention here also JSON and here also JSON. So if I try to read now, what will happen? It will pick only these three JSON files. And if you open this JSON file, so we have total 11 records. So 100 to 110. And each file, it has 11 records. So total, it will read here 30, 11 into 3, 33 rows. And now you don't see these corrupted records here. Okay. And you can see print scheme also. So now the same thing, what I'll do, now I read JSON file, right? From mixed path, I want to read only CSV files. So here, instead of JSON, I will mention CSV. And we know that for reading CSV file, we don't require this option multi-line equal to true. Instead of, we require one is infer schema as true, and one more is header as true. Okay. So header as true, and and below that JSON path. So instead of JSON, I will mention CSV here, and here also I will mention as CSV, and here also I will mention as CS. And if I try to read now it will read only CSV files. So the feature is not supported in first schema true mixed files star CSV. We have two CSV files, training mixed files, uh, training mixed files. This is CSV. Small dot read dot option if schema true. How it billing corrected record path 4 path 4 it is fine. Small dot read option. The feature is not supported. Okay. Small dot read mixed files dot CSV. Let me try with the txt. Okay. So issue is this one. I need to change to CSV. That is the issue. So here it reading now all three CSV files. At the same way, you can read txt files also, similar way, but you will get one corrupted record because one file we have only text txt and here txt and here txt and here instead of CSV txt. So now if I read this one, it will go to this root path and it will pick only these three text files. So these two text files, it will read correctly and issue with this text file because we have only text data. So what will happen? One row it will create as correct record and that thing it will throw into that. See here 1 to 9. This is related to first txt file and 10 to 18. It is related to second text file. So in case of JSON file, what it does, it will create one separate column like underscore correct underscore record. So that time what it does is it will read all these as nulls and it will dump there. But in case here txt file, what it doing, this entire line, this line, it moving to first column. So it moving to first column and for remaining columns, it printing as null. See here, these dots and these three lines. See here, these three lines, it printing here as each line under column one, remaining four columns, it printing as null value. Okay, so this how it will read different file formats from mixed file path. So next method is, this is the recommended method to always to define the explicit schema. As of now, what we saw is by using infer schema. So since nowhere we defined related to schema, so Spark what it does, it by default is considered as infer schema as true. So only for CSV data we defined. In case of JSON, we are not defined anywhere. So by default, it infers the schema. But what is the recommended method is in production to define the explicit schema. Why? Because it is faster than infer schema and it prevents the mismatch of data types or schema issues. Why? Because for in case of infer schema, it will take one more job to detect the data type. That means it has to go through each column, and under each column, it has to scan all the records and it has to detect the data type. In case if you define explicit schema, so we are avoiding one job, so it will run fast. Okay, so and there is uh, preventing the misdetection of data types. So the syntax is like how we can do is spark.read.json, and up to here this is path, multiline equal to true, schema equal to scheme. That is first method. Second method is for spark.read, and whatever these two are there, we are moving outside like schema in option multiline equal to true and dot JSON. Here we are defining the path. So this dot JSON, only this part we are here, and these two we segregated separately. Okay, so two methods. So first we are defining the scheme, explicit schema by using struct type. So inside struct type, since we have around 7 columns, for each column we are creating one struct field. So this column name is data type and this is true or false. And this schema we are passing here. So here I am taking first method. So you can take any of the method. So here I took first method, spark.read.json. First I defined path, then multiline equal to true, then schema equal to schema. So if I read this one, see here, this it is printing the data. So if I try to rerun this one, let it print schema also. And if you observe here, so this is JSON, read JSON, multi-line JSON. JSON, read JSON, multi-line, and multi-line JSON. So I will replace this path. Now, if I try to rerun this one, it will print schema also now. And in schema, you can find one or two columns differences while reading by using infer schema. Suppose here record number is integer, zip code is long, input timestamp long. So record number, zip code. So what I will do, will check for infer schema method. So serial number, this is a CSV file, it's a JSON only. Serial number. This is a record number. See here it reading as long type. See here we are not defined the schema. So like this, for few of the columns, it will detect different data type. So if you mention explicitly, so we will get accurate data types. So explicit schema up to here we ran. Okay, so this is about explicit schema. Next one is how to read multi-line JSON array with nulls and empty strings. So here spark.read dot option multiline true, and I'm defining the path here. So the path is, so here JSON array null. So JSON array null. So first we'll look how data it is set. So this is array square brackets, and inside that we have 7 JSON objects. And if I expand first JSON object, and for state we have empty string, and for record number we have null. So one empty string, one null value. If I expand second object, so here user is empty string and zip code is null. And third one is input timestamp is null, state is null. Okay, so two nulls we have. And third JSON object description we have empty string, late update timestamp is null. Okay, so one empty string and one null. And if you check like that, so here also source is empty string, country is null, zip code is null. Okay, and if you check one more JSON object, these two are nulls, and state is null, remaining all fine. Okay, so now if I read this JSON file, uh, array null, I will copy this path. I mean, I will replace this one. So now if I print this file, so here wherever we saw null values, we are getting null. See here, nulls. And wherever we saw empty string, so we are getting empty here. See here, nulls and empty string, null. Okay, so this is how it will read the null and empty strings. So next is permissive mode and explicit schema without corrupt underscore record. So that means we already saw how to read the JSON file by defining schema. Okay, so this schema is defined purely based on how based on our JSON file. So in JSON file, how many columns we have? So those many columns we defined in this schema. Okay, but thing is, here I'm reading the JSON file, right? Like spark.read format as JSON, and this schema I'm passing here, and in option multiline equal to true, and here I'm providing option mode as permission. So when we will add this option is like mode options, whenever we have corrupted records in our JSON file, if you want to proceed with the correct record, then you can pass this mode as permissive. Permissive means we are allowing to read correct records. So in this mode, generally we'll be having three types. One is permissive, second one is a drop all form, third one is fail fast. So I already made one video on these three topics. You can see that one. So here mode permissive means we are allowing correct records also here, and path is object correct record. So this is the path. Okay, let it be. So this one I will copy this path and I'll paste here. Okay, so now this file we have correct record. So how we can identify that correct record is? So this is multi-line JSON file. So we'll go through each and every key value. So here it looks fine, and first object it is fine, and second object it is fine, and third object is also fine. And here the issue is, after this we should have closing curly braces comma. So how we have here is similar way we should have here also, but here we don't have. So that means this is corrupted record. So first, how many objects we have? Clean data. This is one object, and this is second object. Uh, while reading third object, we have corrupted record. And fourth, it is fine. Fifth, it is fine. Uh, Sixth also fine, and seventh also fine. So we have one corrupted record, that is third one. So now we'll read the file and see this one. So here thing is, as we saw, first two objects are clean data. So we are getting all the data here. And third one, it is corrupted record. So for corrupted records, we'll get all the null values for all the columns. But here, issue is, by default, Spark, whenever it finds corrupt record, and by using this option, what it should do is, you should add one extra column, that is underscore corrupt underscore record, and whatever we have in this corrupted value, the entire value should dump under that particular column. But why here it is not creating is, since the schema is defined only for the columns which are present in our JSON file. So that is the reason we are not getting that one extra column. Now what I'm doing, I'm adding that particular column here, like struct field underscore corrupt underscore record, and this particular column always it should be string type. Why? Because the our error message it will be in string type. So remaining it is same, multi-line equal to true, mode as permissive, and this path I will change this one. So since we added this column, if I try to read this one, now what will happen? See here in third row, we are getting all the nulls, but if you see here, the column is get added underscore corrupt underscore record. For clean data, under this particular column, it will print as null, but wherever corrupt record is there, it will add the data like this. If you expand this one, you will see your entire JSON file here. So here your entire JSON file you can see here, and by scrolling you can look into where corrective record is there. And one more thing here, what I did is mode as permissive, multi-line equal to true. Okay, maybe I'll try. Okay, if I remove multi-line as true, it not reading correctly, and I'll try to remove this one. Okay, so that is applicable for single line JSON objects, not here. Okay, let it be fine. So one more thing I want to mention here is, While defining explicit schema, maybe I will come to here. So this is about explicit schema. Initially, as I told, whenever you read the JSON file with infer schema true method, as I mentioned, there is no guarantee that columns will come in correct order. But when you define schema, the order will come as per your defined schema. And while defining schema, what we'll do as per JSON, one by one column will define. Suppose maybe so record them. Okay, so here it is in this format, right? So here I mentioned as a record number, state, zip code. So record number, state, zip code. Okay, so here I defined in some different order. Okay, that is fine. But thing is, whenever you define explicit schema, whatever the sequence you followed, column sequence, so your output also will be in same sequence. So generally, how we'll follow is in this particular JSON, first column is source description, input timestamp. So here also we'll follow same sequence. So that what will happen as per JSON, how it following column sequence. Same way will the table also will get created. Okay, so that is the main difference between uh, infer schema true and explicit schema defined. That is one more advantage also. So I think I covered almost all the things. So that's all about this video. If you really like this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.